Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from 11 group and here we want to present or share our material about gender roles. This group consists of Kamila Rosa, me, Hilafat Mata Zahra, Saifullah Jaya Wisnu, and Satya Dela Putri. The first subtopic we want to share is about the definition that will be presented by me. Hope you enjoy and understanding better about the material. The definition of gender roles. Gender is a biological term. People are seen as male or female depending on the organs and genes of their sex. On the other hand, according to Bazow in Watani, gender roles are a psychological and cultural term, defined as a person's subjective feelings about masculinity or femininity. So, gender role is a role encompassing a range of behaviors and attitudes that are generally considered acceptable or appropriate for a person based on the biological or perceived sex of that person. Gender itself are being classified into four: masculine, feminine, androgynous, and indistinguishable. Next is about gender role socialization. Gender socialization is a process which people learn to behave in a certain way, as detected by societal beliefs, values, attitudes, and examples. Gender socialization can be said begins as early as when a woman becomes pregnant and people start making judgments about the value of males over females. This gender role socialization is when boys and girls are treated differently by the people of their own environment and learn the differences between boys and girls, women and men. Parental and societal expectations from boys and girls, the selection of gender-specific toys, clothes, and etc., and giving gender based on assignments that seem to define a differentiating socialization process. The gender socialization also requires men not to show fear, weakness, vulnerability, strong and able to face challenges, able to be leaders and be responsible for their personal and family life, able to control their wives and children, and keep the distance between himself and parenting and household duties. But in fact, according to Farrell, these things can have a negative impact.
Okay, and now I would like to explain about the gender role attitudes. As we see before, my friends have explained about the socialization and the definition of the gender roles, and now we have the attitudes. Okay, what is the attitudes of the gender role? Well, regarding to the roles men and women should play in society. As I know, the attitudes of gender role as agreed between man and woman in the past time that men should work in the outside of the house, aka like earning money and etc. The matter is the men should be in the outside of the house as they work, but in the other side the women should work inside of the house, such as cleaning the house or taking care of the house and taking care of their children. So we have here the separation or the division of working between men and women. As we can see here, in the mid of 1980s, nearly half of the public agreed that men's job is to earn money and women's job is to look for after the house and family, and there are those who practice it until recently. This traditional model views a man as well adapted if he exhibits high masculinity and low femininity, and conversely, a woman who is well adjusted is a woman who shows high femininity and low masculinity. And here, the attitudes of the gender roles can change over time. If in the middle of 1980s, nearly half of people support gender-based segregation of roles, with men in the breadwinner role and women in the caring role. Clearly, at the time, there was a strong belief in traditional gender divisions. And in a 2012 British Social Attitude Survey asking whether men and women should contribute equally to work and household, the proportion agreed as much as 62% that there should be a clear gender division of labor, with men working outside and women working in the home. There is considerable support for both men and women who contribute to household income, but now women has their own emancipation, so they will feel offended if their role is considered only taking care of home matters. Women have the ability and their self-esteem is high. So from this explanation, we can see that even though in the past time that men and women have a division of their own jobs, but now after the emancipation of women, we can see that about job between men and women, they can now work equally in the outside of the inside of the home. So we don't have to be surprised that nowadays women can be earning money and the man only taking care in the house or taking care of their family. So it's now not a surprisingly phenomenon because gender roles can change over time, and also we have to be adaptable with that. And as we can see also here in the academic environments like college, there are many women who also work there, and also in the other hand, men can also work in home. So it's not a big deal where gender roles can change over time. And that's all from me about the gender roles that can change over time. And we can step to the next explanation. Thank you.
The next, from me, Kamala Sajudananda, is about limitation of contemporary gender roles between women and men. The term gender originally came into widespread use in the social science to refer to those female and male differences which are given by society and perpetuated through upbringing, as distinct from differences which are dictated by biology. It may have seemed obvious that the non-biological differences could be erased more easily. Perhaps this is why there's a widespread general assumption that, in the UK at least, many former social constraints have disappeared. So the women are no longer tied to the home or held back in their careers. Likewise, men can be in touch with their own feelings, show their emotional sides, and involve themselves with their kids in ways that their own fathers were held back from. It's well known that women do more housework and childcare than their male partners. Even in combination with paid employment and in their careers, women earn less and are less likely to end up in top career positions such as company directorships. On the other hand, there are well-publicized differences between boys and girls' school achievements, with girls doing better in many subjects, and in parts of the UK, young men are more likely to be employed than women of the same age. All of these points show that gender still impacts the way we live and our broader opportunities. We are not so free to ignore the limitation as we might believe. Okay, the next is gender roles in United States, United Kingdom, and Australia. In United States, the pink used to be considered a masculine color. Then, the blue was considered to a feminine. Gender roles in the United States for one cultural group likely is not true for another cultural group. Similarly, gender roles in the United States have changed drastically over time. There is no such thing as a universal generalizable statement about gender roles. One main thread in discussion about gender roles in the United States has been the historical evolution from a single income family or a family unit in which one spouse, typically the father, is responsible for the family income, to a dual income family or a family unit in which both spouses generate income. Before the rise of feminism in the 1960s and 1970s and the influx of women into the workforce in the 1980s, women were likely responsible for dealing with home matters while men worked and earned income outside the home. While some claim that this was a sexist structure, others maintain that the structure simply represented a division of labor or a social system in which a particular segment of the population performs one type of labor and another segment performs another type.
So, next is gender roles in the United Kingdom. The British public perceives a mismatch between depiction of gender-neutral adult worker families and the practical realities of gender division of paid and unpaid labor, especially when children are young. Female participation in the labor market over 30 years. Both men and women in Britain couple families now tend to work a bit, with women often working part-time when children are young. In the mid-1980s, close to half public agreed a man's job is to earn money and a woman's job is to look after the home and family. This decline primarily a result of generational replacements of traditional gender roles. The most popular choice now is for the mother to work part-time. That is 26% in the 1989 and 43% now. And the next is gender roles in the Australia. There are three distinctive voices in the gender equality debate in Australia. First, the traditional view, and the second, the modern view, and the last is the progressive view. The traditional view on gender equality revolves around negative of women in leadership roles and the traditional views on women in the workplace and at the home. The modern view combines a more egalitarian set of views around gender equality in the workplace and at home, with raising concern over what they understand as the growing political correctness of Australian society. This value system is characterized by a desire for a greater focus on men's rights as well as women's rights, and concern for freedom of speech and promotion of a more inclusive discussion on gender equality. The progressive view represents Australians who most strongly ally with the need for concerted policy action and gender equality issues both in the workplace and more broadly in society. And in Australia, there are some areas that still maintain conservative policies that support the male model of breadwinner in the family life, and the wife has primary responsibility for the home and children. If women want to work, they have to be prepared with the same burden as ordinary housewives. But now, Australia tends to be more egalitarian towards men and women. They support women's positions in government and share the same burden to homework and child care equally. If men and women work, they are educate child care facilities so that responsibilities as parental roles are resolved. So this is our resources. Well, thank you so much for watching our video. Hope you enjoyed and understand our material. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.